"You're too broken to help anyone, Mark," his old sergeant once growled, a scarred vet rolling through life, blind to the storm one good deed would ignite. That damp morning, he steadied a stranger's shaky hands, his wheels slick on the wet curb. Soon, black vans circled his quiet street, their engines buzzing with danger he couldn't outrun. "Hello everyone. Welcome to Narrative Whispers. Today I'm going to tell you another heartwarming story, so let's dive into it." The gray November morning hung heavy over downtown Pittsburgh, a persistent drizzle coating the streets with a thin, reflective sheen. Mark Thompson adjusted his prosthetic leg, wincing slightly as he maneuvered his wheelchair along the slick sidewalk. Every movement was measured and deliberate, a reminder of the sacrifices he'd made during his time in the military and the daily challenges of life as a disabled veteran. Mark had long since learned to navigate the world differently. At 42, after returning from 3 grueling tours in Afghanistan, he found that life had taken on new meanings and unexpected challenges. The loss of his left leg below the knee was a physical testament to the price of service, a sacrifice that was etched into every scar, every careful step he now made. His wheelchair was not simply a device of mobility. It was a constant companion that spoke of resilience and perseverance in the face of adversity. A myriad of memories haunted him as he rolled down the familiar streets of Pittsburgh. The once vivid recollections of dusty battlefields and long, tense nights were now intermingled with the quiet determination of recovery. Each scar on his body, a shrapnel wound on his shoulder, the lines that traced the site of his reconstructed knee, and the marks of countless hospital visits, carried with it a story of survival, loss, and above all, hope. Mark's small apartment in Lawrenceville had become a sanctuary of sorts, a space imbued with both the weight of his past and the promise of his future. The walls were adorned with faded military photographs. Medals glinted softly in the morning light, securely housed in a glass case as constant reminders of valor and sacrifice. Books on veteran experiences lined the shelves, their dogged pages a chronicle of struggles shared by many. Over time, Mark had embraced the role of an unofficial historian and advocate for his fellow veterans, a living testament to the experiences that defined a generation of service members. Every morning, Mark made his way to the coffee shop on Smithfield Street, a haven he had come to rely on as a vital source of comfort and connection. The establishment, known as Broken Brew, was more than just a coffee shop. It was a small world where veterans and civilians alike could find solace in the aroma of freshly ground beans and the warm, familiar chatter that filled the space. Run by a fellow veteran named Jake, the shop was a gathering ground where every cup of coffee served as a reminder that life, despite its hardships, still held moments of unexpected kindness. On this particularly rainy morning, Mark pushed open the door to Broken Brew and was greeted by the rich, welcoming aroma of coffee. The shop was a mix of worn leather chairs, mismatched tables, and local art that gave the place a homey, lived-in feel. The clatter of cups and murmured conversations created a backdrop that was at once comforting and invigorating. As Mark made his way to his usual corner table, his keen eyes caught sight of a well-dressed man struggling at the entrance. The gentleman, probably in his early 50s, fumbled with a large, expensive-looking briefcase and an umbrella that seemed determined to defy his grasp. With the wet pavement accentuating his uncertain footing, the man exuded an air of slight panic that tugged at Mark's sense of duty. Without hesitation, Mark rolled forward. "Sir, let me help you," he offered in a calm, steady voice. The man looked momentarily surprised, then gratefully accepted the assistance, his smile dissipating the tension of the moment. "Thank you," the man said, his tone imbued with sincere relief. "These umbrellas can be quite treacherous in the wind." Inside the cozy interior of Broken Brew, the pair found a small table where Mark helped Robert Lee, the man's name, as he soon learned, settle in, carefully wiping away the rainwater from a chair before inviting him to sit. Robert's immaculate suit and polished demeanor gave the impression of a high-powered executive, yet the humble gratitude in his eyes revealed a more profound vulnerability beneath the surface. "Can I buy you a coffee?" Robert offered, his gesture genuine and unforced. Mark paused for a moment, considering the unexpected turn his morning had taken. "That would be nice. I'm Mark," he replied with a measured smile. Robert extended his hand in greeting. "Robert," he said firmly, the handshake a mutual recognition of shared life experiences, one forged in the crucible of military service and tempered by the rigors of life beyond the battlefield. As they settled into the quiet hum of the coffee shop, The conversation began to flow naturally. Mark recounted the challenges of adjusting to civilian life, of navigating the maze of rehabilitation and the isolation that often followed the trauma of war. He spoke about the friends he had lost, the battle scars that went far deeper than those visible on his body, and the enduring struggle to find meaning beyond the uniform. His words carried the weight of a lived experience that was as complex as it was personal. Robert listened intently, his eyes reflecting both empathy and a professional curiosity that hinted at a hidden agenda. There was something in the way Robert leaned forward, absorbing every detail of Mark's narrative, that set him apart from the casual, "Thank you for your service," encounters that Mark had grown accustomed to. It was as though Robert, too, carried burdens from the past, a connection that resonated deep within him. "Can I ask?" Robert began quietly. "What do you think is the most significant challenge veterans face when they return home?" Mark considered the question carefully, his thoughts drifting momentarily to the quiet, lonely nights spent wrestling with memories of combat, and the constant struggle to reconnect with a world that seemed both alien and mundane. "Connection," he replied after a thoughtful pause. "It's not just about finding a job or accessing medical services. It's about feeling understood. We're caught between two worlds: the intense, life-or-death experiences of military service and the everyday rhythms of civilian life. It's hard to bridge that gap." Robert nodded slowly, his gaze thoughtful as he absorbed the gravity of Mark's words. "I've seen it in my own life," he said quietly. "My father was a Vietnam veteran. I watched him come home, haunted by nightmares and struggling with the transition. No amount of corporate success could fill the void of not feeling connected." As the rain tapped gently against the large windows of the coffee shop, Mark and Robert found themselves weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and vulnerabilities. Mark spoke of his comrades, Miguel, who battled PTSD long after the return home, and Sarah, the military spouse who had endured the heartbreak of her husband's traumatic brain injury. Each story was a reminder of the unseen scars that so many veterans carried with them, the challenges that extended far beyond the battlefield. The intimate conversation felt like an oasis in the midst of the bustling coffee shop. While the world outside was awash in rain and hurry, inside, two souls found common ground in the shared language of sacrifice and resilience. It was in this moment that Mark sensed something extraordinary was beginning to take shape, a connection that would eventually ripple far beyond the confines of that small coffee shop. After some time had passed, Robert reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. The card was heavy, printed on thick stock with the elegant inscription, "Global Innovations," embossed at the top. Beneath that, Robert's name and title, CEO and Community Development Director, were neatly printed in minimalist typography. "I'd like to continue this conversation," Robert said, sliding the card across the table. "Would you be interested in meeting next week to discuss an idea I've been developing?" Mark studied the card, feeling both curiosity and a cautious hope welling up inside him. Accepting the card, he replied, "I'd be honored to meet. I've got a few ideas of my own about what veterans really need when they come home." What neither of them could have predicted was that this chance encounter would serve as the pivot point for a transformational journey, one that would change Mark's life and that of countless other veterans. The seed of collaboration had been planted on that rainy morning, nurtured by a shared desire to bridge the gap between military service and civilian reintegration. The following week found Mark stepping into a world that was both exhilarating and intimidating. Global Innovations' downtown headquarters was a modern marvel, a building of glass and steel that gleamed under the autumn sky, a testament to progress and possibility. The spacious, open-plan office was alive with energy. Employees moved purposefully between collaborative workspaces, the air filled with the quiet hum of innovation and anticipation. Navigating the sleek corridors of Global Innovations was no small feat for Mark. His wheelchair moved slowly along polished floors and past glass partitions, a reminder that the physical world still bore challenges that he had learned to overcome one painstaking step at a time. The receptionist, with her warm smile and an ease that bespoke both professionalism and genuine respect, greeted him at the entrance. It was clear that Mark's journey had already left an impression on those who worked here. In a sunlit conference room overlooking the bustling cityscape, Robert greeted him once again. His office, unlike traditional corporate spaces, was designed to be open and collaborative. Walls adorned with photographs of veterans from every era mingled with inspirational quotes and artwork created by local community members. The atmosphere was one of openness, a space where innovation was not just encouraged but expected. Robert began by spreading out several documents across the conference table. "I've been developing a concept," he explained, "for a comprehensive veteran support center that goes beyond the usual job placement or medical services. I want to create a holistic community reintegration program that addresses mental health, entrepreneurial training, family counseling, and even technological skill development. Our goal is to build a community, a safe haven where veterans can rediscover their purpose and connect with others who truly understand what they've been through." Mark leaned in, his eyes scanning the neatly organized proposals. Charts, graphs, and personal narratives were interwoven with statistics that underscored the urgent need for a support system that embraced the whole person. In one section, there were detailed case studies of veterans who had successfully transitioned to civilian life through programs that provided not just career training, but emotional and social support as well. The comprehensive nature of the proposal struck a deep chord in Mark's heart. "Why me?" Mark asked quietly, his voice a mixture of humility and cautious optimism. "What makes you think I can lead this initiative?" Robert's smile was warm, filled with sincere conviction. "Because you understand the journey firsthand. You've walked the path of recovery, resilience, and transformation. Your experiences, your challenges and your triumphs, are exactly what this program needs. No textbook or corporate strategy can replicate the authenticity you bring to the table." Over the next few hours, the conversation delved into specifics. Mark shared his personal insights on the hurdles faced by veterans, the isolation, the frustration of feeling misunderstood, and the difficulty of translating military discipline into civilian purpose. He recalled long nights spent questioning whether the sacrifices he'd made were worth the constant struggle to find meaning in everyday life. But as he spoke, he also recalled moments of unexpected kindness and camaraderie, small sparks of hope that had illuminated his darkest days. Robert listened attentively, occasionally interjecting with thoughtful questions. "What about the family dynamics?" he asked. "Often, the impact of service is not confined to the individual. Families face their own battles in understanding and supporting a veteran's transition." Mark nodded, remembering the countless hours spent consoling his mother when the nightmares returned, the moments of quiet desperation shared with his siblings as they struggled to understand a world that had suddenly become incomprehensible. "That's exactly why we need a holistic approach," he replied. "Support shouldn't just be about the veteran. It should include their families, too. They need guidance, counseling, and a community that understands the shared burden." By the time the meeting drew to a close, a profound partnership had been established. Robert's vision for Global Innovation's new venture was taking shape, and Mark realized that his own journey was on the cusp of a significant transformation. What had begun as a simple act of kindness on a rainy morning was evolving into an opportunity to redefine not only his future but also the futures of many who had served. In the weeks that followed, Mark immersed himself in the planning and development of the Veterans Support Center. His days were now filled with meetings, brainstorming sessions, and long hours of research as he worked alongside a dedicated team of professionals and former service members. The project was ambitious, a sweeping initiative designed to tackle issues that had long been neglected. The blueprint for the center included spaces for counseling, vocational training, creative expression, and even technological workshops aimed at bridging the digital divide for veterans re-entering the workforce. The early mornings that had once been solitary moments of reflection were now bustling with purpose. Mark spent hours reviewing case studies of successful reintegration programs from across the country, each story reinforcing the notion that connection was the missing link in the vast support network for veterans. He discovered innovative approaches, peer mentorship models, community-based therapy sessions, and even art therapy programs that had transformed the lives of countless individuals. These insights fueled his passion, reaffirming his belief that veterans needed a multifaceted support system that acknowledged every facet of their identity. One particularly memorable afternoon, while poring over documents in a bright, airy conference room at Global Innovations, Mark's thoughts wandered back to his time in Afghanistan. He remembered the dusty landscapes, the relentless heat, and the camaraderie that had formed under extraordinary circumstances. It was a brotherhood built on shared hardship and mutual trust, a connection that many veterans longed to recapture in civilian life. The memories were bittersweet, the loss of comrades, the adrenaline-fueled rush of battle, and the stark contrast to the quiet, sometimes lonely, routine of civilian existence. Determined to honor those memories and to build something that could help his peers, Mark began to draft a personal mission statement for the support center. Late into the night, his pen danced across paper as he recounted stories of valor, loss, and redemption. His words were both a tribute to his fallen comrades and a beacon of hope for those still searching for a way to reconcile the two worlds he straddled. As the months passed, the Veteran Support Center began to take physical form. A formerly abandoned warehouse in a revitalizing part of Pittsburgh was transformed into a state-of-the-art facility, one that combined modern technology with warm, inviting spaces designed to foster connection. The interior design was a careful blend of industrial chic and homey comforts. Exposed brick walls were softened by vibrant murals depicting scenes of unity and resilience. Comfortable seating areas were interspersed with collaborative workspaces, and quiet corners provided refuge for moments of introspection. The inaugural event at the center was a momentous occasion. Veterans, their families, community leaders, and representatives from Global Innovations gathered to celebrate the opening of a facility that promised to be a lifeline for those in need. Mark, now at the helm of the center, took the stage to speak about his vision. His voice, steady yet imbued with the raw emotion of lived experience, resonated with everyone present. "I know what it's like to feel disconnected, to feel like you're stranded between two worlds that no longer share common ground," he began. "But today, we are here to bridge that gap. This center isn't just a building, it's a community. A place where every veteran, every family member, can find the support they need to rebuild, to reconnect, and to reclaim their sense of purpose." Applause filled the room, echoing off the high ceilings and vibrant murals. In that moment, Mark's journey, from a wounded veteran struggling to find his place to a leader dedicated to healing, became a symbol of what was possible when compassion and innovation converged. Beyond the formal ceremonies, the center quickly became a hub of activity. Daily programs included group therapy sessions led by mental health professionals who specialized in trauma, skill-building workshops that equipped veterans with new vocational tools, and social events designed to rekindle the bonds of camaraderie. Mark spent his days moving between sessions, offering advice, sharing his own experiences, and listening intently to the needs of those around him. One afternoon, while facilitating a roundtable discussion on the challenges of adapting to civilian work life, Mark was approached by a young veteran named Carlos. Carlos, who had served 2 tours in the Middle East, was struggling to find stable employment despite his extensive training and dedication. His frustration was palpable, a mixture of anger, disappointment, and a lingering sense of betrayal by a system that had failed to support him after his service. "Mark, I appreciate what you're doing here," Carlos said, his voice wavering with emotion, "but sometimes it feels like we're invisible to the very people who promised to help us. How do we keep our faith when every day seems like another battle?" Mark paused, meeting Carlos's gaze with sincere empathy. "I know it feels that way," he replied softly. "I've been there, feeling like the world doesn't understand what you've sacrificed. But this center is about reclaiming that faith, about proving that when we come together, we can build something stronger than any system that has ever failed us. Every story here matters, and every challenge is an opportunity for us to stand up and create the change we need." Carlos nodded slowly, the weight of Mark's words beginning to ease the tension in his heart. It was in these quiet, sincere exchanges that the true power of the support center shone through, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a community that refused to let its members be forgotten. As the Veteran Support Center grew, so too did Mark's understanding of the complex tapestry that was the veteran experience. He began to document stories from veterans across the country, gathering testimonials that ranged from heart-wrenching tales of loss to inspiring narratives of triumph. These stories, compiled into a comprehensive archive, became a resource for researchers, policymakers, and community advocates alike, a living testament to the resilience of those who had served. One evening, after a particularly long day of meetings and program planning, Mark sat alone in a quiet corner of the center. The soft hum of activity around him was a comforting reminder that he was not alone in his struggle. In the fading light, memories of the battlefield intermingled with the present, images of dust and chaos slowly giving way to scenes of laughter, camaraderie, and healing. It was a bittersweet moment of reflection, but one that reinforced his commitment to the cause. Across town, Robert Lee continued to champion the cause of veteran support with unrelenting passion. Drawing on personal memories of his father's struggles after Vietnam, Robert leveraged his corporate influence to secure additional funding and forge partnerships with local organizations. His vision was expansive, a network of support centers spanning the country, each tailored to meet the unique needs of its community, while sharing the common thread of resilience. In meetings with community leaders and local government officials, Robert and Mark worked side by side, presenting detailed plans and projections that highlighted the potential economic and social benefits of comprehensive veteran care. They argued that investing in the well-being of veterans was not only a moral imperative but also a strategic economic investment. The numbers on the charts and graphs were more than just statistics. They were the stories of lives transformed, of hope rekindled. During one particularly spirited town hall meeting, a veteran from a neighboring community stood up to share his experience of being lost in the bureaucratic maze after returning home. His voice shook with emotion as he recounted how he had been shuffled from one agency to another, feeling like a forgotten ghost in a system designed for the privileged few. The room fell silent as his words echoed off the walls, the raw pain in his voice demanding acknowledgement. Mark stood, feeling the weight of the moment. "We owe it to every veteran to ensure that no one else feels invisible," he declared. "Today, we have the opportunity to rewrite the story, a story where every veteran is seen, heard, and supported. This center is just the beginning." The passionate outcry from that meeting set in motion a wave of community support. Local businesses, civic organizations, and even neighboring cities began to rally behind the initiative, offering resources and volunteer hours. What had once been a solitary vision was now evolving into a movement, an enduring commitment to bridge the gap between service and support. As the first anniversary of the support center's opening approached, a celebratory event was planned that would bring together veterans, community members, and stakeholders from across the region. It was a day filled with remembrance, recognition, and a palpable sense of hope. Mark, standing at the podium, recounted the journey of the past year, a journey marked by hardships, breakthroughs, and above all, the transformative power of community. "Every step we've taken together has reaffirmed that we are more than the sum of our struggles," Mark said, his voice steady with conviction. "We are a community built on the foundation of resilience, compassion, and the unyielding belief that no veteran should ever feel alone. Today, we celebrate not just our progress, but the promise of a future where every sacrifice is honored, and every life is valued." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of unity that washed over the room. In that moment, Mark felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for the support he had received, but for the knowledge that his own journey, once defined by loss and isolation, had become a beacon of hope for others. In the months and years that followed, the Veteran Support Center evolved into a dynamic hub of activity. New programs were launched that extended beyond Pittsburgh's borders, initiatives that reached veterans in rural areas and underserved communities. Mark found himself collaborating with experts in technology to develop online platforms that allowed veterans to connect virtually, share their stories, and access resources regardless of geographic constraints. The impact of the center was far-reaching. Graduates of its vocational training programs went on to launch small businesses, while those who had battled the invisible wounds of trauma found solace in group therapy sessions and peer-led initiatives. The center became a living, breathing organism, constantly evolving to meet the changing needs of its community. For Mark, every success story was a reminder of the transformative power of connection. He continued to gather narratives from veterans of all ages and backgrounds, preserving these stories as part of an ever-growing archive that would serve as both a historical record and a source of inspiration for future generations. His personal journey, once shrouded in the shadows of pain and isolation, had blossomed into a legacy of hope and healing. And yet, even as the center flourished, Mark never forgot the humble origins of his own transformation. Every rainy morning in Pittsburgh, every kind word exchanged in a local coffee shop, had led him to this place of profound purpose. In his quiet moments, he would sometimes retrace the path from that fateful November day, each step a reminder that every act of kindness could change the course of a life. In his later reflections, Mark realized that the journey was never truly about overcoming adversity. It was about transforming it. The scars he bore were not just marks of pain, but emblems of strength, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of a man who had fought to reclaim his purpose. His work at the support center was an extension of that personal mission, a commitment to ensure that every veteran could find the connection they so desperately needed. As the years passed and the legacy of the support center grew, Mark's story continued to inspire new initiatives and foster a network of care that extended across communities. The initiative evolved into a collaborative effort involving government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private enterprises, all united by the shared goal of honoring the sacrifices of those who had served. Looking back on that rainy morning in Pittsburgh, Mark often marveled at how a single moment of kindness had set into motion a cascade of change. It was a reminder that even in the midst of life's relentless challenges, compassion could serve as the catalyst for a future filled with hope, understanding, and connection. And so, in the heart of Pittsburgh, where the rain-washed streets bore silent witness to stories of struggle and triumph, Mark Thompson's journey, from wounded veteran to community leader, became a testament to the enduring power of human connection. Every day, as the support center buzzed with activity and laughter, the echoes of that November morning lived on, a gentle reminder that even the smallest act of kindness could light the way to a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for listening to this story. If you like it, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next story of Narrative Whispers.